Hey, Shalom, I'm priest and officer of 1,000 Karyash of the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohanna. I'm what you call a so-called North American Indian of the Pueblo tribe of Gad according to the Bible.
In the dark, walking tall, trying to find a light. This life we live in, it gets sickening, man, this shit ain't right. I gotta make it out and see my people proud. Let them haters keep hating, that means they watching now.
Where your braids at?
My braids at?
Nigga, you supposed to have the braids coming all the way down.
I know,
hey, show me a picture of Karyash, man. We got a native Indian brother in
I
Chicago.
I know what you mean, but I always try to grow my hair out long. I can only grow it so far, and I get.
You be like, fuck,
I don't like it, and so I just cut it off myself.
But that's that stage right there.
But that's what I wanted to, but I just couldn't stand it.
That's how he was. He finna show you a picture of a brother in Chicago. He's a native Indian. And his hair used to be shorter than yours. When he first came, we first started teaching him his shit. His hair used to be shorter than yours. And then he grew his shit. That's 2 years ago.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So now he looking like his ancestors did up there. Before white people had to assimilate us and put us through that dumbass shit they was doing with the what's those schools? The boarding schools and all that shit where they was cutting niggas braids off and then taking them away from the tribe, teaching them English and teaching them democracy, teaching them Christianity, and then, you know what I'm saying, killing all the elders on the reservations, killing them all. The ones who knew, you know what I'm saying, who was gonna fight and knew how to be strong, they killed them off. And then once all of the strong warriors was killed off, then they let everybody go back to the reservations, and then that's what you had. Whitewashed Native Indians. You see what I'm saying? We got to stop that. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to stop that. We need. You want to know why you looked in that mirror and was like, I got to change? Because it's a warrior inside of you that want to come out. You know what I'm saying? We want to bring that warrior out. You feel me? Yeah. That's what we want to do.
That's exactly what I fucking felt when I look at myself and like, come on, man. You gotta do something with yourself. You gotta do something with yourself. You gotta do something with yourself.
Yeah, man. You got our love, bro. You got our love, you got our brotherhood, you got our resources. All right?
Hell yeah.
We got like, so, the first one is the term Native American Indian, we're referring to indigenous people. Is that offensive?
Oh, where I come from, I come from San Diego, and there people call us Indians, Native Americans, Indigenous. Our tribal name Kumeyaay. Within our Kumeyaay name, we have our different dialectual areas from our villages. So that being said, like the most respectful thing for us would be, you know, where we come from and our clan names and all that. But like, how people are gonna know that these days? You know what I mean? So some people just know that we're different. You know, they look at us as like, you're the indigenous people of the land. You're not the average American walking around. So
Right.
I don't ever get offended when people try to identify who or what we are. But I know some people do. But the reality is we've been here longer than any of those words have ever been here. Those are all words of languages that are new to this continent. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't get too offended as a personal person. Yeah.
Okay. And then so my second question is, how does the indigenous people feel about the oppressing people who stole this land and gave them reservations?
Well, I think, anytime we look in history, it's all, we're dealing with historical trauma of all of those effects still today. So all that stuff is done to our people.
Right.
We had a lot, of bad history, and all peoples of color in this nation have had things bad happen to us, and we're still living in those systems. Even though we're coming out of it, we're still living in those generational traumas within our families. Our grandparents had to feel all that. Our parents felt a lot of that. And we're still seeing that today. And so, we look at it like, how do we feel about that? Well, we're still in it, and it doesn't feel good. As humans, nobody wants to be treated in a way where you're not respected and don't have dignity.
Right.
So it's not good. That being said, I speak for myself, but I know others have, they speak for themselves also. And we have intermarriage now, and people are married in different races and different groups. So, to as a group holistically be like against anybody or any type of person, I think it goes against a lot of indigenous people's ways. And I also think that, for instance, people of color will hate on white people, but then they go home and their grandma's white or something, you know what I mean? I don't have a white grandma, but I feel for those who do that they shouldn't be bashing white people if their grandma's white, So we're all human, we have to understand, and then we're only accountable for ourselves moving forward, you know what I mean? We know what we know, we learn, and move forward the best way we can.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that answer. So that segues into the next question. And I got just one more question after this one.
Absolutely, man.
All right, is the current state of the reservation, today, is it a crime against humanity?
Yeah, anytime you take a person and you subjugate them, for one, and you tell them that their culture is no good, that their way of life is no good, that they should try to be like another group of people, and then you fence them off and you do all that, that's the roots of reservation. And when you look historically throughout the world, the oppressive nations have taken that model. Probably the most famous, Hitler and the Nazis, creating concentration camps from that model of how you treat people and hurt and subjugate them. That being said, you put somebody in a place and long enough, and those people are resilient, strong, and dynamic, they're gonna make it home. And for like me, I live on the res. I'm from the res, born and raised. That's my home. That's still my indigenous land. My elders are buried.
See you, man, out
yeah,
there.
Man. And hey, you always, people are welcome to come out and check it out. But we do that, and it's like that's our home. So I don't mind the res. I like the res. It's home. But it's always been a home for my people. The thing is, we have a res here, we have a res there, we have a res here. But everywhere in between, that's our land too. That's our land too. Yeah. So
it's not wrong to
we
want
don't
that
forget
back.
that. It seems like they forget that.
Right. And it's not wrong to want that back.
No, it's not.
When you steal something from a man, usually if you steal from someone, you have to pay for that crime.
You should.
And a part of the justice is giving it back. You know what I mean? So,
you ever see someone steal a bike? They ride off down the road, like a little kid gets his bike stolen.
Yeah.
The little kid, that's still like a little kid's bike, no matter where that dude rides that bike and what he does with this and that. He's in possession of stolen property. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the land and different things, a lot of the intellectual property that's throughout the United States and the world comes from indigenous people, indigenous knowledge. All of that is been stolen from the people. And you know what? They're in possession of stolen property. And the kid doesn't have to throw a rock at the person, doesn't have to hate the person that stole the bike, doesn't have to try to throw something in the spokes. But the kid knows, or the adult or whoever had their bike stolen knows that that's their bike that's going down the road, and that's how we feel.
And it's okay to want that back.
Yeah, it's okay to want that back, yeah.
So my next question is my last question. What can so-called black people do to better the situation concerning Native Americans in the reservation and abroad? What can we do to help assist?
Well, I think African American people or black people or whatever term they want to put on that, because we all come in different shades and sizes and colors, throughout the world. People say black, they always go Africa, but there's you look at a person from India and in between, they're all we're all very dark in those areas also. But I think no matter what shade, specifically, I think all people need to just get back to being humans, and what that means is you support one another. And so natives, just like black people, we all need allies. We need people that are willing to stand with us. You don't have any movement where it's just one group of people. Everybody's got allies and people coming in. And I think natives could definitely use that from African Americans also, and vice versa. And I think understanding the roots of America too. You go to a lot of the tribes, East Coast and the South, a lot of those tribal people, they look black, and that's because, early on in American history, the two peoples in those areas that were being persecuted the most were the black and the Indian people. They stuck together, they helped each other out, and that's how they were able to survive, still have good sense of humor, still put out culture. That America now, hip hop, rap, all the different musical culture, all that stuff comes from those origins because they were there living good lives. But they did that because they relied on each other, and it wasn't about you look this way, you're that. They're people that came together as humans, and that's what we have to get back to. We have to get back to the roots of just being humans. If you go to the teachings of indigenous peoples of this continent and all around the globe, you ask, what are you? I'm a human being. That's what it is, No better, no worse. I come from this earth, I'm a human being. Yeah.
So, okay, just so the people that view our content,
for sure,
how can we find you? If we wanted to come and visit you and introduce yourself, how can we find you?
Me personally, man, I come from my tribe, I'm Kumeyaay Nation. I come from Southern California. I have a digital platform, Live from the Res podcast. Live from the Res podcast.
We want to get there. Oh, yeah.
We're on all platforms, Spotify, Instagram is probably a good spot.
Okay.
But, I would encourage everybody to look at where you're at, look at the soil beneath your feet, and go research a little bit. Who's the original people of that land? Get to know a little bit about them. There's probably still people maybe down the street who are still those, that's their ancestors. Right. Their ancestors are buried in that soil, are interned into that soil. And so that's the trick, you know what I mean? And now in the digital era, we should all be able to just give a digital fist bump to each other, you know what I mean? And really be united again, bring each other back. Human level, man.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we want. It was good to talk to you, brother.
You guys take care.
God bless. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to come back.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
My name is Opie Davidu. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay. What's up, man? If I could ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
All right. Is the term Native American, when referring to indigenous people, is that offensive?
It's actually a lot more pleasant being called that than being called American Indian. Because we're not Indian. Christopher Columbus, accidentally landed here. He thought he landed in India, and that's how that term came to be. That's not who we are. Now, us as a people, the tribe that I'm from the Boys Fort Band of Chippewas. What we do is we call ourselves Anishinaabe. Anishinaabe roughly translates in English to mean the original people, the first people of this land. So that's how we call ourselves, Anishinaabe.
Right. If I could also, brother, how does the indigenous people feel about the oppressive people who stole this land and gave them to reservations?
This has been a battle we've been fighting, since it happened, since they stole our land, and it's horrible. It's horrible for us because this land where we're stepping on, where we're standing on, that we're singing on, where we're talking on now was all ours once. Right. And for these people to come and to put us on these little bitty allotments, what they wanted to eradicate us. Right. They wanted us to die. They wanted us to be no more. So they put us on plots of land that couldn't farm. They didn't think we'd be able to survive. And because of that, but us as a people, just like y'all are as people, we're resilient.
Right.
We're survivors.
Right.
We're fighters. We're warriors. And that's why we are still here today because of those reasons.
Okay. Another question, brother, if I could. All right. Is the current state of the reservations, is it a crime against humanity?
Oh man, it's as bad. I don't want to say it's worse, but it's as bad as living in the hood. I know, like I said, I've grown up my whole life, in the hood. But now, as an older man, I live on a reservation. I live in Nebraska, Santee, Nebraska, and it's like a whole other. It's like a third world there. You know what I mean? Poverty, suicide, depression. All these things are all things that are what our children, our people go through because of being put on that land, many years ago, and all these things, and being set up to fail by the system, by the government. So yeah, it's tough. I've had a pleasure of seeing both sides, like I said, and the only thing I can say is us as a people, we're resilient and we're fighting, and we still have our ways. We may not be rich in material things, but we're rich in culture and spirituality in who we are, you know. So.
Okay, another question. Do the indigenous people deserve to run this country? If not, why not?
What we call ourselves the guardians of this country, of this land. That's how we see ourselves, you know. So even though it may not be recognized by the government, you know, by the federal system and all that, these are things that we still do as protectors of this land to take care of it. You know, our people still fight for the water. Our people still, you know, we do all this because that is who we are. That's who we've been grown. That's who we've been raised to know. That's who we are. Right. You know, so yeah, I think they should hand it back over. I think a lot of things would be a lot more smoother if they handed the land over.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, also another question. What can so-called black people do to help better the situation concerning the North American Indians and the reservations?
I think y'all are doing a hell of a job. You know, as long as we stand with each other, you know what I mean? No one understands our situations but us as minorities, as colored people. You know, one thing I'm very proud of, me and my wife, and that we sang at the first George Floyd Memorial, at the spot where they took his life. We were there. They wanted a land acknowledgement from the people whose land it is. So we were there. We came there. We brought our prayers. We brought our songs, and it was beautiful to stand there with our fellow, you know, colored people in one voice, one heart, you know, everything. It was great, and just keep doing what you do. We'll keep doing what we do. You know, we stand with each other, united. You know, you got to stand for something, or you'll fall for everything. You know. You know, we stand with you guys stand with us. It's beautiful. I love it.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time too, man. Thank you guys for coming.